There are a lot of reports coming out of China that Christians are being persecuted in various ways. You hear things like labor camps, similar to what they used to use in the former Soviet Union. They also, again, organ harvesting is another popular one that they talk about. And they talk about it not only with Christians, but also with Falun Gong members.
Exactly 11 years ago, in July 20, the Chinese government started its war against the Falun Gong. It started its war against the freedom of religion.
Who are the Falun Gong? They are a group of people of all backgrounds in something like 100 countries who first started their meditation and exercises in 1992 in China, and grew so quickly in China that by '99 the government of China estimated that in China alone there were between 70 and 100 million practitioners. Their appeal was so broad that became a source of enormous concern to President Jiang Zemin in '99, and he decided tragically to declare war on them.
The persecution itself is unprecedented and based on the two scheme they are using. One is the torture and violence. Another one is the lies and the discredit and defame the Falun Gong, and also information isolation, so that people outside China and inside China and don't know what's really happening. So they discredit us tremendously, defame us tremendously.
I was in prison for 3.5 years, and it's really a nightmare to look back. I almost lost my life there. They held me outside the room, and it's really cold, and they poured the cold water over my body, and bucket by bucket, and that caused a high fever for months. I was also shocked by the electric baton.
Many of the practitioners are in camps. They work as forced labor, slave labor, in appalling conditions, making products for export.
Even though still very sick, I was forced to do the heavy labor in the field. I was also forced to do the slave labor like stitching football and making the medicines for export to other countries.
Since about 2001, October, the government of China and its party apparatus has been killing Falun Gong for their kidneys, their livers, their other vital organs, and have been selling these organs at very high prices to Chinese nationals and many to foreigners who fly to China and come home with a kidney or a liver from a Falun Gong practitioner who's been killed on demand, in effect, because there's a body tissue match. We find that in a 5-year period there are about 41,000 unexplained transplants, which we think can only be coming from Falun Gong practitioners.
Uyghur people are mainly located today's northwest China, and they are Turkish-speaking Muslim people. Majority of Uyghurs believe in Islam. They are culturally very distinct from Han Chinese, and the region that those people use it, the Li, once had a name East Turkestan, and because the Uyghurs had kingdoms and empires and nation states in that region. And the latest nation state's full name was East Turkestan Republic, and that name was changed by the Chinese government to Xinjiang, which means new dominated territory, after they are invaded to the region. And starting 1949, the Uyghur people fall under Chinese communist rule, and until today suffering under the colonial rule in that region.
The Uyghurs is around 15 to 20 million people, Muslims, Chinese in China. And they are the forgotten tribes. They are the ones that nobody speaks about them. They are the ones that nobody is defending them. And why they are forgotten? Because China is a strong, important economic power. So the West will close its eyes, will ignore it. You see, the double standards doesn't work anymore because Iran is bad, North Korea is bad, but when it comes to China, well, we are willing to talk about it because they're economic power. It doesn't work like that. These people is innocent. These people is facing persecution. And they are even forgotten, not just from the West, but even from the Arabic Muslim countries. Why? Because they have strong relationship.
A lot of people are being tortured and executed in the region, and it's going on right now. It's continued. And after the 2009 July incidents, so we call ethnic clash in that place, you can see right now that military troops patrolling at the streets, and the Chinese military tanks and patrolling at the streets, and Chinese police is even in the street buses, they're patrolling. Yes, Hussein Jalil, he's Uyghur, ethnic Uyghur, and he used the work peacefully just for the Uyghurs' human rights in Central Asia before, and he went to Turkey. After that, he asked the political asylum from UN, and he came to Canada, and until he got his Canadian passport, he didn't travel to anywhere. After he got Canadian passport in 2005, in 2006 he traveled to Uzbekistan because he took his wife and his family because his wife's parents in Uzbekistan. So when they go there, Uzbekistan government arrest him and hand it over to China. And China didn't recognize his Canadian citizenship, and they said he's a Chinese citizen and he's a terrorist. But Amnesty International already said too, Chinese government doesn't have any credible evidence of what kind of terrorist he is, but they don't have any evidence about him, but just they say like that, and they sentenced him life in prison right now.
We are facing right now a group of people that they are being persecuted, tortured, killed, and the whole world is just know about it, and they just remain silent. But we have to do we will not leave the Uyghurs behind. Whatever they believe in, whatever their religion in, there are people that facing persecution as much as the Bosnians, the Muslims Bosnians facing a genocide in Yugoslavia, in old Yugoslavia, and also the world did not do anything. So what are we waiting for? We're waiting for another genocide for the Uyghurs, and after that we'll start to move after hundreds of thousands of people get killed. This is what the conscience of the world become, that now we can put a price on our principles, price on the blood of the innocents, and say, well, because China is very important economic power, now I'm willing to close my eyes on their human rights record. This is a moral disaster.
The government should give China publicly pressure, because China doesn't listen. It's all the way to the Hitler and appeasement. It's the same saying, right? That doesn't work for China. That's why we want the government to give like a public pressure and a public statement to China to force them to do something.
You know, I was witnessing the other fellow practitioners being violently beaten, merciless, but I could not help because they restrained me there. They confined me there. I just sit there watching. It's really painful. I even felt very guilty because I was so. I'm self-helpless too. I cannot help them. Just that's the most painful thing.